Hi guys, how are you doing? This is Madhvi from TaroticallySpeaking.com and eLearnTarot.com, and today we are continuing our Decan Walk journey by looking at the three different decans that fall within the sign of Leo. Ooh, this is something a little personal for me too, because my moon sign is Leo, and interestingly, one of the placements that we're gonna see, I also have that. This is also my ascendant or rising sign, so I have a lot of Leo in me, and I mean, whatever. I love this sign. It's great. You know, I guess I must be biased, but nevertheless, let's go. Let's take a look at Leo. uh, let's understand first and foremost what the energy of this sign is all about. Well, Leo, as we can see in the card here from the Star Codes Astro Oracle deck, um, is represented by the lion, and the lion is the king of the jungle, of course. And the keyword here is shine. And so the energies or the big vibe that is associated with Leo is about being rulers, leaders, kings, conquerors. So most Leo people are fearless and brave, and they're pretty protective of the people that they consider their people. They have this whole thing about dignity. They are pretty confident. They have a charming sort of attitude, and they're pretty creative. There is a very expressive energy there. They can be very, very extroverted. They're playful, they're generous, passionate, and cheerful. They are bright and warm and radiant and faithful. You can see all these beautiful, amazing qualities are there. They are basically big, cuddly cats, very affectionate, very loving, fun loving, and they like planning, organizing, and all of that. Well, but then Leo also has a sort of a, not so positive side. They can be a bit of a braggart. They like to be the center of attention, again, depending on the situation, I suppose. But they have this whole self importance thing. They can be dominating. I tell all my friends that this is my love language, that if you ever find that I'm dominating, then that means I really love you. So, oh my God, the Leos can be a bit superficial. They are all into this self-aggrandizement thing. Like they just love it because it's this whole Leo vibe, right? Like they want to be, they're everything, right? That's the whole thing. They can be egotistical too. They can be vain. They love drama. Oh my God, yes. I have to restrain that quality. I think my sun sign being Capricorn actually helps me do that a lot. This, you know, but nevertheless, I think I'm sorry. I don't want to go off on these tangents, but I can't help myself. It's the Leo thing. Leos like to show off. They can be stubborn. This is a good quality. Why is this here in the negative thing? Stubborn can be a good quality, right? So anyway, this is Leo. Leos live large. They like to love large. They're all about this whole thing. And I know I haven't written it here, but Leos have a thing about their hair. I mean, that's a whole different video. We will not talk about that, but the hair is very important. Just if you know a Leo person in your life, praise them about their hair. Just saying. Now, Leos are, the sign is ruled by the sun. Now, the decans that we will look at, there's no sun there. There's just, three different planets. We have the first decan is Saturn, the second is Jupiter, and the third is Mars, which is again interesting because these are again really important planets. Like, so far when we looked at all the different planets, we've looked at sort of their mythology, their connections with each other, their whole, the way it all plays off with each other. So, apart from the sun, we do see other important planets showing up here in the decans of Leo. So that's going to be an interesting thing to look at, right? So let's look at the tarot card. Here we go. Strength, right? In the Rider-Waite deck, strength is card number 8, right? Rider-Waite-Smith will have strength as card number 8. But then, of course, the Marseille and the Thought and well, the Telos too, because it's an offshoot of the Thought and it's based on the Thought imagery. So it's card number 11. Okay. And this was the traditional placement because obviously Marseille was there before Rider-Waite happened. But you know, uh, they say Waite switched it around because it had to match the order of the signs showing up. Either way, it's fine. It's great. So let's look at what this imagery is all about, right? If you quickly take a look at all these 4 cards, you'll see there is a lady and there is a lion because Leo, and in some way or the other, the lady is taming the lion. Here she's riding that lion. Here she's playing with that lion. There's definitely something about holding the mouth or petting the mouth. And it's interesting because this lion is not biting that lady. That lion has become like a little cat, actually. And it's nice. It's nice to see that. To be, if you look at this, this lemniscate and the white dress and everything, uh, I often look at the strength card and think she's the lady magician, like the female version of the magician. That's what I think. And she doesn't need any wands, like the magician needs a wand, he needs all those things, he needs all those tools in front of him. But our strength lady, she doesn't need that. She has nature, right? All these flowers and everything around her that are wrapped around her seemingly like a lemniscate. And we have the lion, with the tail between his legs here. He's basically just like he's not dominating her, which is interesting, right? And again, if you notice, like this is another behavior of large cats when they love you. So the strength that the strength card is talking about is not necessarily physical strength. This is more like the strength of will. This is like an inner strength. There's a compassion. There is the energy is all about sort of taming and petting this cat. It's about really connecting with. It's like the feline energy, right, of this lady and this cat sort of finding common ground, and it's very beautiful. I like it. Of course, I like it, but I genuinely like it. On the flip side, the strength card can talk about, especially when it goes reverse, it can talk about a very restless energy, very, pride takes over and ego takes over. Reverse strength could also talk about like being super annoyed, losing your temper kind of a thing. It has happened. Hmm? Now, when you look at this same imagery or similar imagery in the Marseille tarot, you see the lemniscate here, hidden in that cap or headgear that she's wearing. And this is again interesting because she, like, as I said, female magician, she knows the energies, right? How the energies transform from one form to the other, right? And she really, again, this flesh colored uh, line here. So again, the flesh literally uh, is a symbolism of the human flesh and human desires or animal desires. So here she is able to control her animal desires or tame her animal desires, right? Or maybe the animal desires of people and situations around her. Her presence is calming, right? Her presence is charming. She has that courage, that daring, and the self control, right? And the necessary inner resources, because you can see red, green, blue, yellow, all the different colors, even her, flesh colored little bits here, even her skin. So we do see that she has like a balance more or less of the various different colors, even the light blue is here. And of course, the knowledge that everything is connected. And it's because of that knowledge and that understanding that this lady is able to basically just tame this, cat, which represents animal desire, right? I guess reversed or ill aspected, this card can again talk about an inner conflict, right? The male fear of female sexuality. I find that pretty interesting. Currently, that's what we are also, in the world, there's a lot of that. The uncontrolled bursts of passion, rash, careless, and risk taking. So, yeah, we do see that energy. And that's a very Leo trait too, risk taking, being rash, on a darker side. But more or less, the energy so far, if we observe, it's more like, trying to bring that Leo uh, ego into a tame form, which is, I guess, a good idea, I suppose. But when you look at this imagery in the thought deck, it's a completely different vibe, right? We see this is like a multi-faced lion that she's sort of riding the lion. Now she's not taming. Here she rides it. She allows that lion just be itself, and she's riding that lion. And so in the background, what the little book says is that these are faces of saints in the background here, which talk about trampled moral virtues. And this red glowing fire chalice that she holds up, it represents the uterus, female energy. And and then we have what, streaming rays and snakes, right? So it's very much sexual energy, death and rebirth, destruction and renewal. So here, and again, the card is titled Lust. Not force, not strength, but lust. So this is the lust for all sorts of things, lust for sex, but also lust for life. She's riding the lion, she's not taming the lion. So here there's a little shift in the vibe, right? Like, yes, there's all these, saints and moral values, but then are these moral values truly creating a framework for a good life, or are they just restricting you from being yourself 100%? Where's the line, right? Like there's always that push pull, or, and that whole thing. And this lady from the strength card in the thought deck, she rides that line. She's like, she's confident in herself. This is a very different vibe compared to, your Rider Waite and Marseille tarot. Here we have a very different image. Uh, while here the lady magician is, very poised, very charming, very, but she is still within a certain framework. Here, again, we see her, she's naked in the thought deck, which is very interesting because, again, nudity represents the desire that there's nothing to hide. So here we see her in full glory, wild abandonment, right? So it's about courage, vitality, passion, creativity, taming this inner animal with love, passionate devotion, right? And a little slightly, I guess, negative would be following one's pleasures. Why is that a bad thing? Trampling on people's values, sexual debauchery, excess, and misusing personal powers. Okay, well, when anything in excess is bad, so I guess when she writes the line, she has to find that middle ground. Yeah, but yes, the lust is not necessarily for just sex; it's for life itself, right? So that's the thing. The uterus brings forth life. So there's those rays. Okay. And when we see this image in the Telos tarot, we see a slight, it's this is nice. We have all these beautiful, right, flowers here, right, and this beautiful image. I don't know what this is. Again, I'm really waiting for the book to learn more about these different images. We have the lemniscate here. We also have Venus. Yeah, this is interesting. This is and well, Here's your lion. Hmm? And so we have energy rising and powerful forces harnessed. Shakti power, oh, that's the Venus, yeah. Passion and charisma, vigor, virility, joy of strength exercised, sexual ecstasy, kundalini, mastery over animal nature. So we see all this beautiful energy coming in. And so yeah, if we look at compare, say, the whole vibe of what Leo is all about. It's about rulership, it's about being creative, it's about pleasure, it's about domination, it's about fun, and just this whole, just embracing that side of yourself which is very feline, very very animalistic even, and just like just we do see shades of it in your strength card or the lust or force cards in the tarot deck. uh Certain versions will have you taming that energy, and certain versions will have you riding that energy, and certain versions will have you harmony, being completely harmonious with that energy. So whichever way you want to see this, there is this energy that is present, which is powerful and beautiful, and also maybe a little extra, but you can approach it in different ways, is the way I see this whole energy showing up in these different tarot decks. Okay, all right, so let's start with our first decan. This is Saturn and Leo, and it's connected with the Five of Wands. Okay, this is first decan, so degree 1 to 10, and the period is from 23rd July to the 1st of August. Now here's your Picatrix Decans deck and the Telos Tarot deck. So the decan description is a man wearing dirty clothes, okay, along with a cavalryman. Maybe this one, yeah, dirty clothes and cavalryman. Maybe this one. This is a little okay. Who looks like a wolf, and there's a dog, and they are all looking to the north. Okay, so here's the wolf, I guess, and there's a dog, and I guess they're all looking to the north. Okay, so it's all about strength, rescue, stamina, action, attack, and triumph. Right. This is the first phase of Leo, and this is from the Telos sort of little white book. It's about conflict, challenge, competition, strife, pressure. Pressure seeks release through struggle. This makes sense. Saturn is a very interesting energy in the Leo sort of space, to be fair. So let's take a quick look at Saturn, because we have seen Saturn before, and so I'm just gonna run through this so that we are refamiliarized with Saturn. Saturn is an earthy planet associated with the element earth, and it rules Capricorn and Aquarius. And Aquarius also has another modern ruler, Uranus, but we're looking at all. So Saturn is about wisdom that comes through experiences, maturity through adversity. It's about responsibility and duty and karmic justice and humility. Again, all these energies very much can run against the grain of a Leo energy, right? Service without expectations, boundaries and borders, structures. We are looking at foundations, traditions, right? Ambition, discipline. This goes with the Leo energy, the ambition, I suppose, right? The organization, yes. Control, sure, Leo likes that. Determination, steadfastly pushing through, right? But on the sort of flip side, Saturn is about restrictions and obstacles, struggles, delays, hard work, trials, karma. So there are some qualities of Saturn that we see do align with that of Leo, and some that don't. in Greek mythology, it's interesting again, the trio of planets that we're going to encounter. We have Uranus or Uranus, who was the sky god, and Saturn was, or Kronos was the sun that Uranus. So the story was like Uranus didn't want his son to come take over, but Saturn happened, Kronos happened to come by, and well, we went through that whole story. And later, when Saturn, was to have children, he was like, "Oh no, not happening!" And so we had that whole story where he, sort of swallowed all his all his children, and then we had Jupiter or Zeus, who defeated him. So we have this very interesting combination here. We have Saturn and Jupiter, following each other here in the Decans, which is interesting. And in Leo again, the sign of kings. So, well, here's the old king, and then we'll see the new king. It's wild. So anyway, but yeah, Saturn also, remember, was the king of the gods at one point, right? So let's go. We have, oh yeah, Saturn in the tarot is represented by is connected or associated with the world card. So we have this common symbolism of this circular laurel wreath, right? And then you see this here as well, right? This is all about completion. This is all about accomplishment. This is all about cycles. This could also be the rings of Saturn, right? Like the imagery is there. This is also the vesica Piscis, a geometric shape formed by the intersection of two circles with the same radius, where the center of the circle lies on the circumference of the other. So essentially, it is associated with sacred geometry and all of that. It's a union of opposites, interconnectedness of all things. It's the cycle of creation and birth. So we are seeing this cyclical imagery all across these four cards, and then in the center we have this figure, sort of dancing, floating, just being there, having a good time. Here she's wrestling with this, snake, I guess. Well, snakes are also associated, where depending on which culture you're looking at, snakes could be good or bad. We have it associated with time. We have snakes associated with regeneration, with sexuality, and certain traditions have them as, the bad guys. But again, it's all how you see it. So, well, the world card in the tarot, though, is associated with success, with accomplishment, with completion of these major big cycles of our karmic cycles, right? We are looking at a big picture perspective. We are looking at being, here we have this, being the center of one's universe. This is an interesting meaning, right? I guess this is the slight vibe of Saturn here, Saturn bringing that little isolation energy there, the restriction energy there. So you could see this lady as being trapped in here, right, rather than floating freely. This is about, again, it's all what you'll see: completion, fulfillment, accomplishment, the ultimate end, right? So we do see a similar vibe across all the cards. And yeah, well, Saturn and completion being a very interesting phenomenon, because back in the day, Saturn was the last planet that, and then they discovered Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So therefore, Saturn was the setting of the limits. This is as far as it went. And then those rings around Saturn were like, oh yeah, look, symbolism, right? So yeah, Saturn is therefore boundaries, borders. And here you can either see her trapped within that boundary, or you can see her sort of floating, having that energy of completion around her. So there's all these beautiful interpretations. And we also see these four figures at the four corners in all these cards. These are your four fixed planets. Signs, my bad. So this is Leo, this is Taurus, this is Aquarius, this is Scorpio. So this is like fixed fire, fixed earth, fixed air and fixed water, respectively. So we have that sort of fixed energy there. It's not mutable, it's not cardinal, it's not, cardinal being the beginning, mutable being the end. Fixed is right in the center. It is the purest, I guess, the fixed quality of the element that the sign is all about. So yeah, sure, Saturn. So now when we look at Saturn in Leo, let's look at it. I've noticed as we've worked through our cards that this deck, the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, does have a very positive spin on most of these placements, more or less so far as we've seen it. So let's see how this is showing up. Uh, Here, the book sort of describes this image as an enthusiastic speaker is addressing the crowd, passing on the words of a great prophet of the past. And the image on this upper panel is of that prophet who has inspired this speaker. And the keyword here is generosity, right? It's very nice. So here Saturn represents ambition and Leo is creative self-expression. And interestingly, Saturn is in detriment in Leo. Now, the last video I made with of Cancer, I said, "Oh, Moon was exalted in Cancer, but it was not. It was in its domicile. So there's a difference." And thank you so much for pointing it out. I really appreciate that because again, I'm learning, and so now I get to go back and sort of look at, oh yeah, what did I say? The thing is, in a planet, when it is in its own sign, it's at home, so it's happy. But when it's exalted in a sign, it can be like, it's like, oh my god, I'm so happy here. Like, so I've come to visit my friend's house and they are really treating me great. But when a planet is in detriment, it can be in a sign like Saturn and Leo. Well, it's not happy, but it's like it can't completely be itself. It's a little uncomfortable. That's what it is. Versus a planet in a sign where it's in its fall. When it's in its fall, you can say that, oh, now we're going to see the really nasty or negative sides of that planet come through, perhaps, because again, it's the worst side will show up there. But here, Saturn is in its detriment. So Saturn cannot be 100% itself, but so it can sort of become a little, relaxed maybe. So, but again, like I said, there are some overlaps between the qualities of Saturn and the qualities of Leo. So probably that's the version that we are seeing here, right? So according to the book, here, Saturn and Leo, we have, people with displacement, they use their tenacity and self-discipline in showy generosity that leads towards recognition and a better position in life. So that tenacity and discipline from Saturn, but then Leo wants to, show off, right? Look, I'm doing all this for you. But then now you can, give me a better position in life. Their ambition is powered by artistic potential. So you can see where Saturn comes in, you can see where Leo comes in. You have that showy creative outlet. You have professional success in entertainment, management, creative, or educational roles, right? See, here's the thing, the Leo energy wants to get that admiration. The Saturn energy wants to do their best, right? That's where you see this little intersection. So this generosity, yeah, the Leo aspect will appreciate that you're saying thank you, but then Saturn is still going to be generous. Leo is also going to be generous. So that's how this generosity comes up, I think, right? And they like to give, they like to teach, they like to share, right? And so it says best when not guarding their creative talent. So when they're genuinely sharing, well, if they get appreciation, they feel nice, like a cat will purr. But then, they're happy doing that. They don't want to worry about anything else. And I have this placement, so I get that. I get that. I do, right? I mean, if only I could just basically just share my knowledge without having to worry about anything else, I would do it all day, every day, and I'd be so happy. And if every time someone writes thank you, or every time someone likes and whatever, I'm just like, oh my God, this is great. It's like, it makes my day. So yeah, we have this. And then we have, oh, romantic connections with older or more experienced person. Ah, guilty. It has happened. Well, it is what it is. Okay, so creative joy shared with no strings attached. Yes. Creativity for a good cause. Yes. Teaching creative skills to less talented. Helping the education of children. Absolutely. Here's the thing. Admiration makes them overbearing and approval seeking. Yeah, that's a little dark place. Disappointment in creative or love matters, reserved, and they suffer in seclusion. Yes. Yes to all. So yeah, Saturn in Leo, generosity. I get that, right? So because Saturn is in detriment, I think it can be a little at ease and not be very Saturny, I guess, and it can just enjoy the being the ruler vibe and doing the things. And again, because it's Saturn, not really looking for any, not going after it for rewards, but for the sake of it, for the joy of it, right? That's Saturn and Leo. I like it. So coming back to the number, Five of Wands, five is again about challenging. It's the discord energy, it's the strife, it's the crisis energy. And it's also about interaction and communication. It's about learning. It's about the five senses. So when we bring all that energy together, so Saturn, Leo, and the number five, in the tarot cards, we have the Five of Wands, right? In your Rider-Waite-Smith, we see these five people, these five guys with different dresses again. So that's interesting because that immediately tells you these are five people with five different tastes, preferences, likes, dislikes, what have you. And all these five wands pointing in different directions. And it looks like they're maybe being chaotic and sort of having a conflict with each other. Maybe are they fighting? Are they arguing? Are they getting together haphazardly to build something? Your guess is as good as mine, right? So yeah, we have, confusion, chaos. We have different options, different ways of doing things, and they're kind of, having that little tussle about choosing what's the right way. Every way is the right way. And so there's that five energy of conflict, that five energy of communication. I guess Saturn bringing that ego. I'm sorry, Leo bringing that ego. And Saturn ultimately gonna push them, saying, hey, you still gotta finish the task at hand. So, that dedication, that ultimately they all still want to finish whatever it is that they're supposed to do, but, well, their ego gets in the way. You see that energy here in this beautiful Five of Wands. Now, let's look at this Marseille Tarot image. And here we have these sort of four wands crisscrossing, which is nice. And then, it's like harmony. And then the fifth wand comes in. We also have these leaves and flowers sort of saying, hey, look, we're here. But this one wand that sort of goes right in between these crisscrossing wands, it's like, hey, it's walking into a trap. This is something significantly, nuts that's going to happen, and you're walking right into it. This is a complicated situation. You're going to lose some advantage, right? So if you want to make your move, if you want to win, you got to seize that moment. You got to just push through and make it happen, right? The chaos, you need to control it. You need to find the right moment to control it. Okay? That's the vibe here. In your thought, it's a little colorful, right? You see the Saturn, you see this Leo energy, you see this little big wand here, you see two, four wands. I mean, it's the same image more or less, but now we have more decorative stuff going on. So this upright wand, apparently with the wings and the snakes, This is some Egyptian royal symbol of the highest power, and the violet blossoms and wings are spiritual forces, and the phoenix heads on the crossed ones here. These are creative, purifying energy. This is the lotus blossoms, which again, receptive, fertile force, and then these rays or these flames are, the heat that feeds itself from the friction of opposing energies. So we have all this going on, and yeah, the keyword being strife. Yeah, so yeah, it's like all, we have these beautiful sort of, the creative energy, and then we have the receptive energy. It's kind of clashing, combining, and then this one comes in, hey, I'm the boss, listen to me, right? The Leo. So yeah, the courage to be responsible, persistent self-development, comparison of strength, ambition, aggressiveness, challenge, overstepping bounds, competition, different interests clashing with each other, controversy. So yeah, it kind of matches. And then we have this one, the Five of Wands, that we also saw when we looked at the Decan, right? All these different energies. We have this cavalry man, we have this man with the wolf and the dog, and I guess we also have a bear and a bear cub, and I don't know what this is. So we have that keyword of strife, and the little white book says vigorous and dynamic conflict, aggressive challenge, competition, striving, drama, and contention for the top spot. Pressure seeks release of tension through struggle. So this is, I think, something that we should look at in all these cards, because I think this applies for everything. The pressure seeks release of tension through struggle. So that's the thing, right? When we have this harmony of the four here, there is some thing that, as we know, four is also about stability, and stability creates inertia, and then we have the Leo and Saturn energies sort of coming together. Well, that there's a lot of pressure, and so this fifth is important and necessary. That is what will release this tension, and this struggle is the necessary way that through which this tension is released. Because when everybody has an idea and everybody thinks that their idea is the best idea, well, they have to have that conflict to have it out, because otherwise it'll just stay in their in their heads, in their hearts, and it will not come out, and they'll always be seething. It's a very Leo thing, I get it. And so once they've said it, it's out there, and then there's resolution, it's done, it's out. And yeah, so that's how they find the solution. I get it. I have this placement, and it does happen, and it's as I said, I'm Leo rising, Leo moon. Moon is not, Moon and Saturn together. Oh my God, don't even ask. It's crazy. Yeah, but there have been times where literally, if I say something, if I do something, if I have an argument of sorts, and that's how I have found resolution through to whatever it is, the conflict that is going on. It makes complete sense to me. Okay, you have to live it. You have to live it. So here's a little, visual aid, I guess, if you want to spend some time looking at it on your computer, to help you see how the energy is sort of, the Saturn energy, the Leo energy, and then how it all comes together in the Saturn and Leo. Okay, moving on. We have the Six of Wands now. Here we have Jupiter in Leo, right? So now Jupiter, or Zeus, being the son of Saturn, is also in Leo, the sign of kings. So now we have a different vibe, a different kind of king that we're going to look at. This is the second decan of Leo, and this is the description in Picatrix. It says, a man wearing a wreath made of white basil here on his head and holding an arrow in his hand. And so it talks of heresy, ignorance, perplexity, idleness of idiots, pulling out swords and fighting. Okay. And here's the card from the Telos deck, right? We have the man with the arrow bow, I would say, and he's wearing that wreath on his head. And yeah, so efforts lead to achievement, rewards, public recognition, honors, and laurels of victories. All the roses being thrown at him. He's successful, he's a good leader, and that's the whole vibe. Okay. So now let's look at this different kind of king where Saturn was all about rules, regulations, restrictions, systems, discipline. Jupiter is about education, law, philosophy, travel, abundance, expansion. It's about trusting life. It's about discovering truths and personal meaning. It's about big and grand, expansive, forgiving, optimistic energy. It's generous, right? So in the Leo space, this is like Jupiter is happy. Jupiter is more than happy, right? Spacious, curious, fair, right? Different perspectives. It's wise. It's higher understanding and values and prosperity and all the good fun things. It's also about studies and religion and philosophy and ethics and all that. And yeah, the negative-ish side of Jupiter would be, he loves to get the attention. Again, Leo has no problem with that energy, extra positivity and excess, right? So I guess in Leo, Jupiter just goes all out and he's happy. Again, fire energy, right? And Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces, right? And in our tarot, the Wheel of Fortune, again, another circular thing. Yeah, it's like the world card. You had Saturn, which all with that laurel wreath, and here you have an actual wheel. Jupiter is about the Wheel of Fortune, and it's connected with this card. And here, Wheel of Fortune largely is about the cyclical nature of life itself and everything within life, right? So we do see this pattern repeating. We have, this one creature going down, one creature going up, one sitting on the top. And this, so one is a negative energy which goes downwards, one is the positive that comes from this negative that goes upwards. And then we have the this one with the sword sitting there sort of balanced. We have these Akashic books, again, these four fixed signs, the angels, and they have these books. We don't, excuse me, we don't have that here, but these stars here in the thought deck, hang on, written somewhere, they're heavenly signs of hope, right? And the lightning bolts are the divine forces. Essentially, what we see here is these are, everything moves cyclically. And if we see again, now this is where I see the parallels. You see the story of Uranus and Saturn, and how Uranus didn't want Saturn to take over, but Saturn did that anyway after sort of defeating his father. And then we have Saturn and Jupiter, and same story repeats again. But Jupiter, for some reason, doesn't have that whole concept, at least. So he didn't go eat his children or prevent them from, being born, what have you. So he's opened his heart a little, perhaps he's trying to, I don't know, change that pattern a little bit, right? But yeah, the Wheel of Fortune does talk about how you, again, you have all these things coming around, round, round in circles, but also how the negative patterns could also seed the positive patterns, right? So we have hope here. And I like this aspect of it, right? Especially when we see it in the broader context. So yeah, Wheel of Fortune talks about the different cycles of life. It is a good fortune card. When you see it, yes, everything good is going to happen. But remember, this is part of this cycle. So keep it moving. Take advantage of the good energies and keep seeding more good energies, because yes, this wheel is going to turn up and down, but if you keep seeding it with the good energies, that even the down part will not maybe last long or won't necessarily bring much negative energy to you. But yeah, whatever is happening is a result of what you have done before. There's a cause and effect energy. There's, and everything is cyclical. So you have to understand that, whatever comes will go, seasons, cycles of life, life itself. And in there, we have to seed it with the good stuff, which again, Jupiter bringing the philosophy, the knowledge, the wisdom, the fortune, the understanding, the ethics, all of it. And that is going to help you seed it with the genuinely good stuff. And then this way, we change and we make it more positive, whatever is written in these Akashic books, right? And we create more positive energy in the world. And that's the whole vibe I'm picking up now from this card. Okay. So now when we look at Jupiter and Leo, look at this. The keyword is publicity. Remember, this deck has a very positive spin on pretty much all this. Now again, I double checked. Jupiter in Leo, there's no, exaltation or anything like that. But it's okay. I think Jupiter is happy in Leo, despite not having any of that. Jupiter is gain, Leo is creative self-expression. Together they make up this card, which is titled publicity, right? So they like to put on a big, nice show. Jupiter's is, again, this is a positive vibe for the most part, right? Like Leo will want to put on a show. So whether it is in your, the generosity aspect in Saturn and Leo, or whether it's the publicity aspect in Jupiter and Leo, show is happening. uh, but in with Saturn, it's more like, oh yeah, you got to do it, just out of the goodness of your heart. Jupiter also likes to do it, but then they like to spread their warmth, they like to spread their imagination, but they are also like, they like to spread their philosophy. So you will see Jupiter in Leo is a very interesting thing. You have the prominent member of a religious organization, right? They like to share their ideas because they want to spread their ideas. Hmm? They appreciate arts. For them, children are a source of pride, and they will spare no expense for their education. Okay. Now the flip side is someone who likes to blow his own trumpet. There's an attraction of fame, gambling, over optimism. Right? This is the over pushy parent who lives out their dreams through their children out. But yeah, the positive side again, the showiness does come from Leo, but Jupiter wants to spread knowledge and, spread it and seed it in the world. Okay. Saturn, on the other hand, just wants to share it and just maybe teach, and just for the heck of it. Just Saturn is duty bound like that. And Jupiter is just having a good time. So 6. This again, the numbers, because this is connected with the 6 of Wands. 6 is that number that comes after 5. 6 is bringing harmony, balance. It's about connection, community, home, stability, and service and responsibility, intellectual creativity, imagination, fantasy, abstract thinking. So we have all this beautiful energy of the 6. So now let's see how Jupiter, Leo, and 6 show up in our tarot deck in the 6 of Wands. We have, oh, so in our Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, we have this guy sitting on the horse with this laurel wreath. We have him, sort of leading the team. We have the people looking at him, looking up to him. This one guy looks at him a little funny because, attracts jealousies there. But yeah, we have that energy of 6. We have him bringing the harmony. We have the Jupiter sort of spreading his philosophy. So he's like, look, this is how we need to get this done. So in the 5 of Wands, where they were like sort of, having that conflict and having it out, this now the leader comes and he gives them a uniting sort of a philosophy that, okay, this is how we can bring it all together, right? And that's how he leads. That's how he but that's his ability to see that, and he takes a little bit of everybody's philosophies and cobbles it together and says, now let's bring a little bit of everybody and let's go forward and succeed at whatever it is that we are going to do, right? In the Marseille tarot, now we have two groups of three wands crisscrossing with each other. We have these leaves, but now we also have these beautiful flowers that have grown, right? So something has become more fruitful, more powerful. And three is being the number of creativity. Two of them crisscross those wands. Now there's double creativity. So we have collaboration, we have interweaving and durable. We have an alliance between two parties with different goals but common interests. We have a taste for luxury made possible by favorable conditions, pushing to advance. Favorable conditions, finding an ally, right? So this is interesting. I like this one, the alliance between two parties which have different goals, yeah, because they point in different directions, but they have common interests. Let's look at this thought image. We have six wands. They're very similar to what we saw in the prior image. We have the phoenix heads. We have the lotus blossoms. These are fertility. These are creative power. And then we have these Egyptian sort of winged discs and whatnot, which is the symbol of rulership. So now we have two different groups of these three wands harmoniously intertwined, and so this energy is now stabilized, right? And we have victory, success, reward for accomplished efforts, recognition, good news, promotion, overcoming hardships and difficulties, blossoming relationship. But then on the flip side, this can be, they can be condescending, or they flaunt their success because they were like, oh, I was successful, look at me. That's the little Leo energy and a little bit of the Jupiter energy too, right? And then you see this victory card here in the Telos deck, right? You have the triumphant culmination. We have public recognition, all the beautiful ladies throwing roses at him because, he's the hero. His efforts have led to achievement and reward. The struggles have led to triumph and exaltation, pride, honors, all this good stuff. So yeah, we do see that this is like, where Saturn was a little tense and maybe a little relaxed. In Leo, your Jupiter is happy and happy. And yeah, and he gives the best results here in Leo. So we have that Six of Wands. And let's see this together. We have all beautiful Leo energy. We have that Jupiter energy, and here they combine, come together. Nice. I like it. I mean, even number wise, 6 is a good number. 5 can be a little chaotic. And then again, even an odd, right? If you notice how the numbers sort of with the even numbers tends to be a little stable, odd numbers are a little like, but that push pull keeps continuing till we reach 9 and 10. Ultimately, 10 being 1 again, I suppose. But yeah, we see that and it just grows from 1 to 9, right? So let's move on to the Seven of Wands. This is Mars and Leo. Now, again, Mars is connected with the Greek god Ares, right? And he's the god of war. So, in the Decan, we have an ugly man who looks like a black man with a fruit and a piece of meat in his mouth and a kettle in his hand. Who wrote these descriptions? What they're looking to say, right? And then the keywords are friendliness, rewards, affection, participation, harmony. How is this and that connected? I'm still at a loss trying to figure this part out, honestly. Okay. And then we have, this card from the Telos deck. We have that, I don't know about the fruit and piece of meat. This guy doesn't have any of that. But we have boldness, attack from a defensive position, bravery, and rise to the occasion to prevail. Well, yeah, that's the Seven of Wands. See, there's this Mars energy. Mars is the god of war, and he's in Leo, the sign of kings. What do you think is gonna happen? Hmm? So, this very masculine god of war. It's all about physical energy, aggression, sexuality, drive, temperament, animal attraction. Leo also has that. Passion, courage, bravery, impulsiveness, being dramatic. Again, these energies, again, Mars, Leo, very, very harmonious, I guess, in a certain way. A dynamic, competitive, action taker, right? And then on the flip side, Mars can be very aggressive, insensitive, hostile, quick tempered, anger, rashness. So again, we do see that with Saturn, there is a little bit of an overlap with the Leo vibe. In Jupiter, it's more like, hey, we really can get along, and in Mars, there's a more of an overlap too there. Very interesting. So, when we see this Mars energy, and it's represented in the tarot, in the Tower card, which is all about, the sudden events that happen, and it's the destruction of all these structures and walls. And we really see this breakdown. There's calamity, there's the annihilation of the ego, which again, very interesting because Mars is like so much ego, right? And it's all about the breakdown of existing structures that you have built and built and built, but now they have enclosed you in their darkness. So the universe sort of steps in and sort of like, that's it. That Jenga tower comes all collapsing down and you are thrown out of it. You see this shocking situation. You see all these crises happen. Mars, very much the cause of it. And Mars being the god of war. War, some people say, is the cause of the problem, or some people say it is the culmination of the problem. It's a very interesting thing, right? And we see this upheaval from depths. We see the intense changes. We see this imagery here, even in the thought deck with the collapsing tower and all these different energies. This eye of Shiva here, third eye of destruction. It is also a release, liberation. Sometimes it is necessary to break those structures down because those structures keep you stuck and locked, right, within them. So again, this is very symbolic. This could be old habits, old ways of thinking, old patterns, on a very everyday level for all of us. This tower can be, all those things which keep you locked in. But on a grander level, on a very macro worldwide level, this can mean various other things. This can be structures like the governments. This can be structures like your religions, even for that matter, right? They keep you locked into a way of living and being and existing. And sometimes they need to be broken down so that you can rebuild better. Maybe that's the point, right? That's the shocking destruction, the necessary breakdown, right? The dispelling of illusions and enlightenment that this tower card brings. So that's your Mars energy in the tarot. And when we see Mars in Leo, here now we see something else. We see this image, and this word is egotism. This is a strange bird, a half cockerel and half man, crowned and stands proudly for all to see. And we have the Leo sun and the royal Egyptian scarab to show the eminent position of the cockerel. Now, there is a I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but there is one person we all know today who has this placement. He's a certain president of a certain country. Uh, you know who I'm talking about. He has this placement. Now, does it make sense? Yes, this makes complete sense, because let's see what the meaning is. We have Mars, the keyword being action, and Leo is creative self-expression. So now they feel most fulfilled when using energy in an expansive and showy creative ways. This whole showy energy is very much Leo, right? You can see the parallels across the three decans. These Mars and Leo people, they love doing things on a big scale and in front of an audience. Again, this front of an audience bit also, Jupiter has that, maybe Saturn has that too, Mars absolutely has that. But they tend to take over. Now, here's the Mars energy coming in, where Saturn was all about, restrict just that little bit of ease to that restriction. So it likes to just be very generous and give all it knows. And Jupiter likes to be all abundant, throwing all the knowledge and things and abundance everywhere and making everybody happy. Mars is like, oh, look at me. And he is all aggressively in everybody's face. So literally, this is the flip side, forcing oneself into the lead, bullying, the very authoritative, dictatorial egotism, the over the top behavior, right? They like that dramatic performance. They may have great creativity. It does require a certain level of creativity to do this thing, yes. And, personal biases on one side, but these guys, they just love to be there and they receive that admiration, but then they are very aggressively, it's like, if even if you don't want to look, they will make you look. They'll be like, look at me. And if you don't look at them, they'll stand in front of you and be like, look at me. They have talent, they can be competitive, and well, another positive side here is they have a great talent for coaching young people in sports. Again, it'll depend on different placements, right? Not with a certain person we know, but yes, here, right? They always need that appreciation. This is that very Mars and Leo energy, and it comes across as egotism in this one. Okay. And if we look at the number 7, because it's associated with the 7 of Wands, seven is often associated with luck, with opportunity, with spirituality. But 7 is also about limits. And they like to set limits, they like to cross limits, they like to explore what's beyond the limits. They are all about negotiation. They have inner conflicts and secretive material attachments. Ha! See how things make sense. So, when we look at the 7 of Wands now, we see this Mars energy really in full bloom. Here we have this young man standing on top of this mountain. And I've always, this is something that really, really opened my eyes. Like, look at those shoes, the 2 different shoes. I read this in a book and I was like, oh my God, I have been looking at this card for years. And then now I've noticed the different shoes. It's like he's in a hurry to get to where he's going. He don't care what shoes he's wearing, right? And he's like flustered and whatever, but he's ready to do that battle. He's ready to fend off these 6 wands coming at him. And he's on that higher ground. Oh, Star Wars reference, anyone? But then, yeah, he has that higher ground and he makes full use of it, right? So even though he's overwhelmed and he can't focus on the other aspects of his life, it's very hectic and he's dealing with multiple things at a time, but he's fighting it out and he's succeeding against all odds because he stands his ground. And yeah, we do see a negative version of it in the media today, but we have this here. Now, in the Marseille Tarot, now we have, you remember the earlier sort of, diverse group of 2 3s coming together and sort of working harmoniously. Now, the 7th wand comes in and sort of butts right in there. And where are the flowers? They're gone. Now we only have these leaves, and now there's a struggle. Now they can't find that harmony, right? Even though their interests were somewhat overlapped, even though their destinations were different, that they still start to struggle, right? They do overcome those difficulties, but they have a price to pay. The situation pitting one against many, putting up a fight against many opponents, keeping one's position, because this guy wants to take over, dominate. And that's why there's all this resistance, I guess, right? Persisting through these times. Like on one side, like the positive angle would be that endurance, that persistence needed to push past that. you see that imagery here as well. You see those 6 wands from the previous card, and then now there's a different kind of wand, that 7th one, that just kind of shows up and like, I'm taking over, right? This is taking a single-handed risk, growing beyond one's limits. That's the 7 energy, right? Mars wants to push past those limits. He wants to break those limits. He wants to see what he can do, what he can get away with. They stand up decisively and alone. They're being courageous for a lost cause, saving a relationship via a daring act. And the word is valor. It's interesting. Again, we see this brave soldier here on the mountaintop, and he's defending this flag with all these spears coming at him, and he's like, I'm going to stand here and fight, right? So yeah, there is the attack from a defensive position, bravery to meet that challenge and achieve that breakthrough, rise to the occasion and prevail despite being outnumbered or unpopular. So yeah, I mean, we do see this energy here in the 7 of Wands. I'm pleased to report, actually, honestly, that in many of the cards or many of the decans, sometimes I have been at a loss or struggle to see how the planetary connections sort of show up in the pictures. But in Leo, I'm pleased to report no complaints. So far, so good. Yeah. Okay, so we have that Mars and Leo energy, and here, this is for your contemplation. You can see the Leo energy, the Mars energies. This is, and that whole violence of Mars comes through, where we have this Leo sort of trying to maybe tame or ride that sort of energy of animal energy, the ruler energy, that vibe. And Mars comes in like, yeah, I'm gonna destroy everything, and we have all this sort of merging here. Mars and Leo. Okay. I also have another visualization for you guys, so you can sort of look at it and contemplate. I like doing that. I like seeing things sort of together like this and just stare at it until something strikes. So if something does strike, let me know. And share your insights. I love hearing what you guys have to say. It's fantastic. Okay. And let's not forget the supporting cast. Of course, your Ace of Wands, right? This is there for all the 3 signs, right? I think this whole season, right? So we have that. So we have the Ace of Wands, right? Which is like this pure fire energy, is the root of fire energy. Leo, and being the fixed sign of fire, it's fantastic. That's just so much of that passion that comes through, that whole desire to sort of break and just go out there and do the things, the creativity, the sexual energy, the impulse, the efforts. Ooh, yeah, Ace of Wands, we are here. And then, of course, the Page of Wands, the very budding, fresh energy of the Wands person, the young person, right? Who is like, yeah, let me just go be that beautiful fire person that I am. They like to show off their skills, their talents. They're driven by their desires. And they're dynamic and young and high spirited and sort of, as this one says, a force of nature, daring, energetic, right? They just, yeah, they are the Princess of Wands, Earth of Fire. They just want to make it happen. And then, of course, we have the Knight of Wands or the Prince of Wands. I think I had mistakenly put the wrong cards in the last one, but forgive me. So yeah, we have the Knight of Wands or the Prince of Wands sort of, riding that lion chariot here and the horse here. And they are just going out there and doing the thing, making their magic. So the page grows up, becomes the knight or the prince, and they're just like, yeah, let's go. And they now are more active, more able to sort of put things into motion. They are the hero, the risk taker. They are impulsive and sexual, and they just follow. They don't complete what they start, but they definitely start something. this is air of fire. So air and fire being very compatible energies, they feed off of each other, right? Now, for the third decan, which is your Mars in Leo, we have the King of Pentacles. So now suddenly we have a very different energy. This is Earth energy. And so the King of Pentacles is fire of Earth. And so now we have that very materialistic vibe that comes in. And yeah, so now this King of Pentacles is supporting that very Martian, military industrial complex, as it were. This is your very, very stable person, very reliable, very pragmatic, very materialistic, very ambitious, very cautious also. This is the financier who will finance the wars that this Mars in Leo wants to go have, right? This is the person who will invest in those wars. And let's not get into that conversation. But yeah, we have all this energy happening, and this is your the King of Pentacles, or the Knight of Discs from the Thoth world. They are stable, they are sober, they're straightforward, they have this strong business sense, and they are very driven by materialistic energies, and they're very earthy too, because they have that connection, they have that ability, they have the patience to wait things out. Like they really believe in the long game, as it were. And so yeah, but they can be boring a little bit, they can be a little dull, but that's kind of the King of Pentacles. They're very, very smart people. Okay, so let's put it all together. We have this this beautiful, I like this image where I can now see all the connections in this nice mind map way. And yeah, this is the handout. You can see all the different cards together all at once. Your first decan, which is Five of Wands. Your second one, which is the Six of Wands, Jupiter in Leo, and the final, Mars in Leo, right? Whoa, okay, so let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of Leo and all the, I would say Mars is like the next king, maybe. So all these kings in Leo, in the sign of the king. I think I like this pairing in this sign. The pairing is very, very nice and very good and very energetic. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I will wait to hear from you. And I guess the next one is Virgo. So Virgo is what? Hermit? Okay, that'll be fun. So I will see you soon when I have that video ready, and then we will explore the decans of Virgo. So until then, stay good, be good, and play with your cards. Bye now.